This is a E.N. Welch Parlor clock. E.N. Welch was a company started in the 1800s. They had some trouble throughout the 1800s, throughout the course of their history. They were founded in Connecticut by Mr. Welch, and when he died, they ran into some financial trouble they couldn't recover from. In 1903, they sold out to the Sessions Clock Company, which is a pretty well-known one. What that means is that any E.N. Welch clock is built before 1903. So I don't know exactly when this one was built, but it is pre-1903, which puts it over or about 120 years old or more, which is pretty neat. When you get this clock, the pendulum will be out of it so that it doesn't hit things in shipping. So just hook the pendulum onto the hook right back here, just behind the face, and then start the pendulum swinging. And if it's on a level surface, it will tick very evenly. Tick, 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 tick. If it's not, if you hear it kind of limping a little bit, like that, then just lift up one side until you hear it level out. Put a quarter or a piece of cardboard or something on one side until it's level. Then it'll tick evenly. Setup's pretty easy. This is a 8-day movement, which means it's designed to run for a week before you have to wind it again. So at the end of the week, put the key in and turn it to the left. Now, if you forget which way to turn it, that's okay. Try one direction, and if it feels solid, like it's not moving at all, don't push it very hard and try the other way. If you feel a little bit of sponginess, then that's the correct direction. Now, general safety tip, if something were to break inside of here and everything looks to be in good condition, I don't expect it, but it happens sometimes. It's happened to me and I don't recommend it. If something breaks and this key unwinds on your fingers, all the spring unwinds all of a sudden, not fun. So the safest way to avoid any pain from that is to remove the key, rotate it, pull it out, put it back in, rotate it, pull it back out. Now that's obviously not very convenient, and so what I do instead is I'll just keep my fingers really close to it. So I'll turn it, and then just keep my fingers close so that if something did happen, I can catch it real quick. General safety tip for most clocks. So that's what you need to do every week. Now at the end of the week, if you find that it's running a little too fast or a little too slow, you can adjust that. Now I will say, this type of clock tends to run faster when it's fully wound and slower when it's unwound. So it might be a minute or two fast by Wednesday and a minute or two slow by Saturday, and that's okay. That is to be expected. But if you want to adjust the speed, it's very easy. Just turn this little knob at the bottom to the right to go faster. So as you screw it upward, it will go faster. If you screw it downward, which would be to the left, it will go slower. And it's not going to take much. If you turn it a quarter of a turn, that's probably at least, all you're going to need, maybe more than you need. So it doesn't take very much. When you need to set the time, turn the minute hand clockwise. Don't turn it backwards, and don't touch the hour hand if you don't need to. Generally best to avoid that with this clock. So every time you pass the half hour or the hour, let it chime. Finish that cycle before you go to the next one. If you don't, it will get the chimes to be chiming a different time than what the hands say. So this type of clock is an American style movement. And what that means is that it doesn't know what time it is. Some of the modern clocks do. They have a better idea what time it is. This one, all it knows is what time it was what it last chimed. So just now it chimed 6 times. That means it's 6 o'clock. So it doesn't know that it's pointing at 6:15. It doesn't know that it's pointing at 6:30 now. It just knows I chimed 6 times last time, I'm going to chime 1 time this time for 6:30. And same thing up here, it doesn't know it's 7 o'clock, it just knows I'm going to chime 7 times because I chimed once last and 6 before that. So it has a sequence that goes through all the time. And so if you just crank the hands around, well, it's going to think, well, I just chimed 6 times last time, so now I'm going to chime 7. When in fact the hands are pointing to something different. So let it run through all the cycles, and sometimes that takes a while, but there's not a very easy way to get around that. The alternative is you can actually move the hour hand, but that's cheating, so I don't recommend it. But that can have its own issues. So general preference is to turn the minute hand clockwise. Now, if the chime gets off and it's chiming something different than what the hands say on the time, there is a solution for that. Right down here is a little ring, and if you press that ring, it will strike the next strike cycle. So right now, if I press that ring, it would strike 7 times. So if the hands say something different from the chimes, hit that up until it comes to the correct number of chimes for what your hands are showing. Don't go past it, because then you're going for another 24 cycles before it gets back synced up. So use that carefully. Let's see. I think that's about it. So this clock, like I said, is designed to run for a week. Now this one in particular actually ran for 13, almost 14 days on the time side, which is phenomenal. That's a very good sign that it's in good health. The chimes, or the strike side, I'm sorry, I think I'm saying chime. The strike side, it ran, I believe, 10 days, which is fantastic as well. And what that means is if you go on a trip for 8-10 days and the strike stops, it's just the time's still running, but the strike side is not, you're going to need to use that button to get it synced back up. Let's say you go on a trip for a couple weeks, the clock stops running, that's okay, wind it back up, start it again, get your chimes, or the striking correctly, and you'll be good to go. But yeah, it's a great clock. It is in great condition. It needed some machining work on the escape wheel and things like that, but it seems to be running very, very well now. Could use a little bit of woodwork. Some of the nails after 120 years have gotten a little loose, but as long as it's sitting on a shelf, it's fine. So, great clock. We've loved having it and working on it, so I hope it serves you well for many years to come.